back, everybody. I'm Nate, and today we have a very special guest for the podcast, a good friend of mine, Mr. Josh Van Veld. How are you, brother?
Fantastic. Thanks for having me, man.
Josh has a amazing YouTube channel. It's probably one of my favorite YouTube channels to watch. Honestly, I like to go home, crack a beer, and when I see a notification that you've got a new video, I just go sit down in front of my computer, close the door, sit back and watch. And it's such a relaxing style that you have when you narrate your videos. I love it. I absolutely love it. And obviously you're a car channel, right? Tell our viewers a little bit about how you started the channel, what made you get into it, and what your plans are now.
Sure. So I got into YouTube as a sort of like 40-year-old man saying, is it weird if a 40-year-old man starts a YouTube channel? You know? And actually the first start was when I got into motorcycles. I got a GoPro thinking I should run a GoPro just to kind of like have footage in case, I die spectacularly. And then I was watching a lot of moto vlogs, which got me as a 40-year-old man, like over the hump of you shouldn't ride a motorcycle, right? YouTube kind of caused me to get into motorcycles, and then I was like, well, I should make videos. I didn't stick with it. The logistics were hard. Fast forward a bit, I started driving cars on the racetrack, and that became easier to just mount a GoPro inside the car. And I thought, I'm having fun at the racetrack. This is really exciting. I'll record that. I'll put it on YouTube, and people will watch. They did not watch, right? Because what I've since realized is that YouTube is fundamentally about storytelling, and just recording yourself doing something that's interesting to you doesn't tell a story. And you mentioned the narration. That's a relatively recent addition to the channel where I kind of figured out sometimes what's happening on the screen doesn't tell the whole story, and a lot of times what's going on in my head is more what the story is. And so I started narrating, and then people started telling me that there was this really kind of chill vibe to the whole thing. And what I'm going for, I'll peel back the curtain a little bit and tell you strategy. I want to be Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood meets Anthony Bourdain.
Okay.
Right. So yeah. Anthony Bourdain, he would do a great job with his voiceovers of kind of like setting up where he was going, what he was thinking about, what mattered to him, except like he was, a former, heroin addict and had all these issues. But what was great about Anthony was that he understood the industry that he was sort of shedding a light on, but he didn't pretend to be a master chef. But he could go and visit a master chef's kitchen and appreciate it and have a conversation and bring the viewer along. But then I'm doing my stuff in my garage at home, and that reminds me of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, where he walks in the door of his house, he switches like into his comfy shoes and his sweater, and he sits down with the viewer and is like, hey, let's learn something together. So I'm trying to find that like blend of real world, which is not always Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, but also like bringing the viewers to a comfortable place. And the beauty of YouTube is you can kind of do whatever you want, so you figure it out as you go. But over the years I've realized it's not fun to give viewers something that they don't want to see, and so I've really become focused on trying to figure out what people want to watch. Like, how do I bring value to them? Then they're going to watch, and then I'm going to get reinforced in what I'm doing. And so with Goldie, it's a 2007 Corvette Z06. I went in thinking it was going to be like a simple upgrade process. I was going to put some bolt-ons on it, go out to the racetrack, turn fast laps, and then I was going to like sell it and be done. And that is not how things went at all with that project.
Yeah. So you ended up blowing the motor, and a lot of your story has been getting this puppy back to the racetrack. Right. But now it's going to be a monster. Because you decided rather than replace with OEM parts, you were going to do a few upgrades.
Right. And I haven't talked about this on my channel yet, but there's an equation I run through in my head when it comes to value, and I'm going to test this on you and see if it makes sense, right? I paid a little less than $40,000 for Goldie, but let's call it 40 for the sake of keeping it simple. And that for a 500 horsepower car that can turn fast laps out of the gate, that feels to me like a great bargain. And the thing is, like back in the day when you could still get an LS7 motor, so this is a 427 cubic inch LS7 that revs to 7,000 RPM. It's got like titanium components in it. It's like, you know, GM was making 500 horsepower with a naturally aspirated V8 long before anybody else did, and they only beat their own record recently with the new Z06 that's like 650 or something with the flat plane.
Yeah.
It's wild. But like they held this record for a long time, and I think the result was like that was a little bit of a fragile motor, right? And a lot of guys will tell you, go with an LS3, you can build it to the same power and it'll be way more reliable. But part of the value and mystique of the C6 Z06 is that LS7 motor. And back when GM still had them to sell you, if you took it to a dealer and said, hey, my motor is blown, replace it, that would cost you $20,000. So out of your $40,000 car, you could kind of say $20,000 of that is motor. So I blow up the motor, and you know I'm trying to figure out what to do, and my viewers are trying to help me, and a lot of them did say LS3. You can get an LS3 long block, I want to say for like $8,000. So basically $8,000, put it in yourself, you're done. But here's the thing: how much is a C6 Z06 worth with an LS3? I'm gonna guess that it's worth something like $30,000, maybe $25,000, because the guys, if you're out shopping for one, do you want one that doesn't have an LS7 in it?
No.
So when I'm contemplating what to do, I'm thinking about the end value of the car, and I said, okay, if I just get like a straight up LS7 and put it in, that'll cost me, hard to say exactly what, right? I could get a used one, I could get it in, and we're back to where we were if I get like a sort of junkyard takeout motor, right? That's like similar mileage, no issues, but then I have to fix the heads on it, so I got to spend money on it anyway. So I was thinking about what to do, and I'm not an LS motor expert, right? Like I'm not much of a mechanic, you know. I'm like self-taught shade tree mechanic. I use the internet like everybody else. I watch YouTube videos, and so I've done a bunch of different things, but I didn't grow up working on cars beyond oil changes and windshield washer fluid, you know. So I'm asking my viewers for help with this, and also I've got some friends locally who know way more than I do, and who I've met through my YouTube channel and who are willing to help. So a message I got was, hey, like if you want to learn how to work on this, you should start with a short block, which is basically the block, and you know the crank and the pistons are already installed. Anything that would require a machine shop or like super careful measurement of stuff, that part's done. And then the rest of it is kind of like assembling Legos. I was like, that sounds great. So I call around a bunch of different shops, and nobody really wanted to give me the time of day because that's usually not on the menu. You know, the sort of the YouTuber special of like DIY, but not completely DIY. But if you were said, hey, call this guy at K-Tech, and K-Tech is a company up in Michigan who back when the C6 was out and racing, they built this LS7R race motor for the factory race team, right? So K-Tech built those motors back in the day. And this viewer said, hey, call this guy at K-Tech. And so I called that guy, told him what I was up to, and he's like, you know, we could put together a package for you. And they called it their DIY package, right? So the short block, they would also give me a set of heads. I said, like, I want reliability first and foremost, and I want quality, but power is not like the top of my priority list like it is with most guys, because on the road course, power can be a liability. Now you have to be really careful with your throttle. You're also generating a lot more heat, and just the power itself can, you can break stuff, you can use stuff up. And so like drag racing and road course driving are completely different things. So I told him, like, that's my goal, and I'm not really that interested in how much you're going to gap the rings or like what brand of pistons you're going to go with or anything. I want you to say, for your application, this is what you need. And I said, I also want to save a little bit of money. So if there's any like a used block or used heads that are refurbished, I'm fine with that. But my goal is for the entire build to be under $20,000. And you know, that has been a whole journey, right, of working with them. But we're, you know, I can't spoil it because I haven't edited the last of the videos, and in fact we're not completely done. Like there's still some stuff to work out, even though we're about a month after the install took place. Like just thinking about, like, as soon as I went back to a month ago, it was like going back to Nam or something, right? It's just like the bullets flying over your head, your buddies face down in the mud.
You know, one of the things that I find so appealing about your channel is that you are just kind of a regular dude. And you don't have all this mechanical experience. But you're doing this stuff very methodically. You know, like, Josh, you're very intelligent, bro. When I watch you, you're so methodical about how you approach things. You think it through. You don't really act before really thinking it through. I'm kind of the opposite. I act before I think all the time, and it gets me in a lot of trouble. But you and you can just see your mind working when you're doing stuff. You're very methodical, and I find that to be inspiring. You know, it like makes me want to be like that.
Wow.
It really does, because the way I watch you, like, because you accomplish things that way, right? You take the time to line everything up correctly, and then you go for the goal, and you accomplish it every single time, and that's really cool. And even if you don't let it beat you up too bad. You come back with an alternate plan.
So I'm gonna have to disavow you a little bit of this impression, or at least like kind of give you a more full picture. You ever play online first-person shooters?
Oh yeah.
So the Battlefield series, I started playing back when it first came out with 1942, and I've played pretty much all of them since.
Special Weapons was my favorite.
Okay, right on. So when I would play at work with buddies, when you work in a video game studio, you've got gaming rigs like as your work PC, and so you can play at lunch, right? So we're doing squads, and I'm the guy in the squad who just freaking runs in. You know, just like not thinking about my corners, not thinking about like what's on the other side. I'm just like, let's go! And I'm kind of like that in a lot of things. So like my disposition is like yours, where it's like, we'll think about it later. If I see a path, we'll do it. And it's actually the YouTube that has sort of fixed that a little bit, or sort of helped me improve that. And it's not thinking about the viewers. What it is when I sit down and edit a video, if I make a mistake, I watch myself do it over the course of this whole editing process easily 10 times. Or if I have a friend in my video and he's giving me a piece of advice as I'm editing the video, I didn't hear it, I might have even forgotten it, like in one ear out the other on the day of the shoot. But then, you know, he is saying it to me 10 times as I'm editing, and it finally sinks in. So YouTube has changed me in a way that I could not have anticipated, because I have to sit with myself and observe myself, and from that I say, oh, like like my ego tries to be like, Josh, it's cool. I'm like, you know what, but maybe, like, I want to love myself, but I also want to get better, right?
Yeah, of course.
Because I think I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I was, believe it or not, like a straight A student, you know, full ride academic scholarship, all that stuff. That part of that comes from being hard on yourself, you know. With YouTube and putting yourself out there, you have to get over that. You have to say, I'm not perfect. And so like a big part
that's been tough. That can be tough. You know, like,
if you're going to represent yourself truthfully.
100%, right? I remember when we first met about 2 years ago, right here in the showroom. My brother was your neighbor, and then he found out you had a YouTube channel, and you told him, well, I'll follow him if you follow me. And then my brother called me right away afterwards, and I was like, give me this guy's number. And so I called you, and next thing you know, you're over here, and we literally had like a 3-hour conversation standing right by the door where we shook hands and met. We like did not move from that spot, and
hit it off.
Yeah, we hit it off, and we were just talking YouTube, and you were telling me about you said, I'm jealous of your channel. I'll never forget you saying that. You said, I'm jealous of your channel because you have such a story to tell. and I'm trying to figure out how to get my channel there. Well, bro, you've done it. You've definitely done it. I mean, you're getting on average 20,000 views a video for the most part.
Yeah.
Right? We don't quite get that much. We definitely have more followers than you, but that's, I think, because of a lot of our shorts that we've done. You know, some of them are over 8 and 10 million views.
And I was gonna say, like, there are different feathers you can put in your cap, and I have built an audience that comes back and watches these stories, but I've not demonstrated the ability to put together just a fun little piece of content that resonates so well with people that YouTube's like, hey, let's show this to 10 million people.
Yeah.
You know, so like, kudos to you.
Well, thank you. And a lot of that came from your advice, brother. You know, like when you came here that day and you told us about all the things that you knew about YouTube and the algorithm and how to improve your channel. I mean, I didn't take that lightly. Ryan and I literally regurgitated that stuff to ourselves over and over again, and over the years I would be like, remember what Josh said about this, or remember what Josh said, let's try this, let's try that.
Yeah.
And it really is a trial and error to get your channel to the point where, you know, it's really doing well. Right as we sit right now, we have about 68,000 subscribers.
Amazing.
You know, which
Amazing.
is so cool.
Yeah.
And we're so thankful to our viewers who keep coming back and watching and supporting the channel. We've even had people drive from Alabama, South Carolina, Kentucky.
I love
Florida,
to hear that. How cool.
Just to come see the shop, and from all around Georgia.
Oh, can I swap a story with you on that?
Yeah.
I hope he ends up seeing this. So Francis from, I want to say, St. Augustine with a Miata. I'm at a track day at Atlanta Motorsports Park. This guy walks up to me, never seen him before in my life. Hey, I'm Francis, I'm from St. Augustine, that's my Miata. I'm here because of your videos. He's like, not just because of your videos, there's more to it than that, right? Like, I don't get full credit, but he said, seeing your channel helped me realize that like regular people can go drive on the racetrack, and you know, I wanted to do that, and like I think some of my videos were just a little nudge he needed to say, yeah, you can do it. And he came out and he drove and he had a great time.
Oh, cool.
And there's something about having a real impact on people's lives, and I don't mean that like they join your cult and start following you. Like, no, like you shouldn't be you shouldn't be following people that closely anyway. But I think it's just like if you help them make a better decision, or you know, a lot of guys, I love several people have told me now, I'm a sort of Saturday morning coffee channel, right? You're drinking your coffee, you're thinking about your weekend, you throw on the chill Josh Van Velde video, and a lot of guys say like they use that to help get the motivation to go work on their project for the weekend, right? Whether it's their car or something else. And I love that, because for me back in the day, it was forum posts, like build threads. I still remember there's a guy called, I think, Smokey the Talon or something. He had a white Mazda RX-7 that he built as a track car. I think his brother had a GT3. It's been years since I read this, but I remember the details because I really felt like I connected with this guy. And I would read his posts and I would say, I want to go work on something, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that the world can drag you down, but if you put yourself out there in a positive way, you can help like lift people up, energize people. And I want to circle back to finish my kind of value story on the Corvette, just so we don't leave that thread hanging in case anybody actually cared where that was going. My goal is spend $20,000, right? Which sucks. Like, and also I recognize that not everybody is in a position to spend $20,000, and that's okay. Like, you know, we're all at different points in our careers and stuff. By the way, don't buy a C6 Z06 and not get the heads fixed to fix the dropped exhaust valve issue and not have a plan for what happens when your engine blows. Because I was like, it'll be fine. The internet's blowing that out of proportion. Maybe they did blow it out of proportion, but it did happen to me. And I've been getting a lot of thinking that won't happen to me scenarios, and then it does, and it sucks. Sometimes listening to the internet is a good idea. But my thinking is that by going with K-Tech and building a rock solid, reliability focused engine that has racing pedigree, you know, that now I've increased the value of my car. So if I put an LS3 in it, let's do the quick math. I spent 40 on the car. I spend another 8 to put an LS3 in it, and now the value is down to, let's say, 30, right? That's not a great value proposition. Let's say that putting this K-Tech motor in it increases the value. You know, I'll be generous and say it increases the value of the car to $50,000.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
It works out a little better in my favor. Like now, I only the K-Tech LS7 only cost me 10 grand to get installed in this case, which is like, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. That's cool, man. So when do you think you'll have her on the track?
That's a great question. I have signed up for, a buddy of mine told me about a track day where they're trying to keep the number of participants low so they don't have to do run groups and stuff. So it'll be like a member day at Atlanta Motorsports Park where you just go out and drive when you feel like it. About 30 cars. There will be GT3s there, I'm sure, for me to like try to hunt down.
Sure.
And that's, I want to say, towards the end of July. So I'll do some shakedowns before then. Hopefully and as much as it hurts to say this, like Goldie is not ready to go yet. And I don't know what the resolution is going to be. There are some issues that may or may not be my fault, and they may or may not be like really serious. So I'm pushing that out of my mind. Sure. But that story is going to get told on my channel, obviously. But I think by July, mid-July, late July, we're going to get that out there. And I feel really blessed to have like this story going on in my life. I think the story that I wanted to tell, which was I spent a couple of weeks upgrading this Corvette, and then we get her out on the track and we beat a GT3, and then I sell the car and move on to something else, is way less interesting. And part of why stories are interesting is because like the protagonist in the story, the main character, grows, right? Like that's, if you were to sit down and take a script writing class or a storytelling class, one thing people want to see is growth of the character. It's weird when you're telling your own story and you look back, I had that pause earlier where I'm just like thinking about all this stuff that's happened and all these things I've learned. I've changed, and hopefully for the better. I think that sometimes when good things happen to you, it changes you, but not always for the better, right? We talk about somebody hits 100,000 subscribers or somebody wins the lottery or whatever. You will change, and I know this from experience, not always for the better, right? Your ego can start talking to you in ways that you don't want to hear.
Yeah, we've unfortunately kind of recently experienced that with a channel we collaborated with, and I feel like it's really a shame that you let YouTube affect who you are.
There is a fundamental danger with trying to make it big on YouTube of, if you do find success, how do you safeguard against it ruining you? And again, I'm not complaining, because my garage is a lemonade stand. Like the lemons come in and I just make lemonade out of it. And it's not just for YouTube. It's like, I have no choice. I have to do it. And what I find is that act of like making the lemonade, taking difficult situations and turning them good, struggle makes you better. I just think that it does. Whether you signed up for it intentionally or not, it can't help but improve your character. And I think that to put yourself out there in the world and potentially find success, both in terms of people starting to pay attention to what you say, but also monetary, improving your business. Like your business is doing better because you're doing well on YouTube, and you're still on the early part of the growth curve, which is awesome.
It's made a huge difference. I don't think it's any secret that the King of Camo has struggled to get to the point where it is.
Yeah,
I've basically invested my entire life savings into this business, and I really believe in it. And I have two badass dudes who believe in what we do as well, who are part of my team now. Yeah. And what it has really taken is all these years of really bad experiences, stressful situations, finagling to figure out how we are going to make it to the next week. It has made us rocks, and so whenever we get a roadblock for the business, you know, we always kind of say the same thing. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Because we always do. And with YouTube, I think when we added YouTube to the recipe of the shop, number one, the shorts hit locally big. And so people started figuring out we were here. And it brought people to the shop. You know, in December, we had about 1,200 subscribers. And by the end of December, we had over 5,000. And by the end of March, we were at 50,000.
Unreal.
So it grew exponentially very quickly. And it was even to the point where, like, you walk into Ace Hardware or Home Depot or Walmart, and people are starting to recognize
you're
you.
a local celebrity. And that's so cool. Like the fact that shorts, and this is true on Instagram as well, though I don't have a lot of experience over there, but it's a local thing, right? Like a regional, like they look at where your location is and they're going to push it more to people in your area, which is such a cool tool for a business owner. Yeah. And if you don't mind, I want to like take the little opportunity because it spoke to me when you said you invested your life savings. When I met you, kind of the reason that I ended up meeting you is because I had an Ariel Atom and a Porsche 911 Turbo sitting in my garage, and your brother walked by, and I could tell he was kind of like rubbernecking it a little bit. I was like, "Come on up here!" Like, and we just hung out. You know, car guys always get along with car guys, and
so my brother Christian is like just the most personable dude in the world.
Yeah, I immediately liked him a lot, and then he put me in touch with you, and I was like, ooh, somebody to talk to about YouTube. Yeah. My favorite thing to talk about. Yes. And the reason, and I haven't talked about this at all. It's interesting how when you get outside of your zone, you can start like bringing topics onto the table that don't really fit in your own videos. The reason I don't have those cars in my garage anymore is because I sold them to invest in a business. And we're like right on the verge of announcing what it is, and believe it or not, it's gonna have a YouTube presence.
That's awesome.
So I'm just and that's
I kind of know a little bit about it, but I'm not gonna tell any secrets just yet because I think it deserves its own grand reveal. It's something really cool. I've seen some pictures, and it literally gives me goosebumps. It's really cool. I, as a business owner, especially as a local business owner, I love to see other business owners doing well.
Yeah.
It's an amazing feeling to see that. You know, Nofo Brewery opened 2 months before we opened.
Okay.
So as they were building out, I went and introduced myself and became friends with one of the owners.
Okay.
And I became a VIP member at Nofo. Okay. And he pretty much became a VIP member here because he just started dropping off guns and we started doing projects together. And we talk a lot of business together.
Right.
I admire his business sense. You know, Nofo 5 years ago opened up, and now they have 3 locations. They're opening more. They're literally selling across the UK. They own an English soccer team. You know, they have blown up. Wow. And they're literally going to become superstars. Wow. And from right here, right next door.
How cool.
It's so awesome. And so when I see him at events and stuff, I'm like, bro, you're doing so good. I'm so happy for you, you know, and I love to see that. And so, especially with you, because I know you, I'm really excited for your business to open, and I definitely want to be there when it opens.
Well, and you know, there's what's so cool about it, and even when we reveal it, we're not going to reveal the whole plan. I've told you about it, but there's going to be an opportunity for everybody to come be a customer if they want to, whether that's just like being a viewer on YouTube or actually coming down there and hanging out with us. And it's exciting. And you know, what's crazy about it, I have a little channel, right? I think back in when we talked about shorts for your channel, that was November. This is what I love about you. One of the things, you're just a genuinely good dude. And I think that's part of why you should be on YouTube, is because, you know, jerks and liars shouldn't be.
Right.
You should be, right? Like, people can trust you. I think you're a genuine guy. I remember saying, hey, like, here's a short that I saw. And I remembered a long form video that you guys did where you did this Godfather skit. And so I knew that you were all about doing skits and fun stuff. And I was like, I could see you guys doing something like this. And less than a week later, and you were like, oh, dude, yeah. Less than a week later, and I don't know how many other influences were acting on you at that time, but you had put a short out, and that short got millions of views. And I'm like, unreal. And just to illustrate, like, your channel subscriber base, whoosh, through the roof. Mine still plodding along. But, you know, I'm doing these very careful recipes where it takes me weeks of effort to make a single video. We're hoping to, like, speed that process up.
26,000 subscribers from that first short.
No way.
Yeah. We got 26,000 subscribers from that first short. Pretty incredible.
Unbelievable.
You know, and thanks for the idea. You know, everybody had been telling me, you need to make shorts, you need to make shorts. That's how you bring people to your channel.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was kind of at a point where, you know, I didn't know if I wanted to do this anymore. I've been struggling for a lot of years. The shop, I mean, it was barely making it. And barely making it, to me as a business owner, is not logical.
There's an opportunity cost. You could be doing something else that is successful.
Correct. In fact, I could be sitting at home playing Call of Duty and iRacing, and I could be making more money.
Are you on iRacing?
Yes.
We need to friend up because I've got a sim rig. Anyway, go on.
So do I. I was on there last night.
Hell yeah.
So, and I raced with the Dega boys too.
Nice.
They actually broadcast a league.
Oh, cool.
And we can become part of that league and race it. And
I need that.
It's
I
a lot
need that
of fun.
in my life.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And there are a bunch of really good dudes and some really fast guys on there.
Oh, I bet.
But I've been a member of iRacing for 15 years now.
Holy.
Since it first came out.
I don't remember if we've talked about this before, but that's wild.
Yeah.
Like, you've been in it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And
I'm a pandemic iRacing guy, right?
Okay,
Like, kind of like, I've always done sim racing since, like, the original Need for Speed, 1994 on the PC.
Yeah.
I've been doing, like, computer
Papyrus.
driving and racing. Exactly. Sports Car GT, then, you know, all the different Forza, Sega GT, Gran Turismo, all that stuff. But, and even had wheels and even, like, you know, seat setups. Now I've got the real deal triple screen direct drive wheel, the hoist valve pedals, like the real deal setup. And it's amazing. Sorry.
It's so fun.
That was a tangent.
Yeah, well, no, I literally every day after work, I go home, I spend a little time with my kiddos, my wife, and then I go downstairs and I race for a couple hours. And I do it every night. For the most part, it's either that or for first-person shooters, you know.
Yeah, okay.
Call of Duty, or I mean, I haven't played a whole lot of Call of Duty lately. I've been more into the racing, and it's because I took kind of like a year-long break from iRacing, and now I'm just getting I'm right back into it.
Cool.
So yeah, it's a lot of fun. My favorite type of racing to do in iRacing, believe it or not, I love road course racing. In real life, that's my favorite. But in iRacing, I love oval racing and dirt track racing.
Nice.
So just slinging that sucker around, and it's just a lot of fun. But yeah, what were we talking about before that?
I don't know, dude. And that's a funny thing. Like, when you're hanging out with your buddy, like, I've found that as I've gotten older, a conversation is an exercise in sort of like trying to remember what the point was in the first place. And really the point is to have an excuse to hang out, you know? Yeah. We were talking earlier before we started filming. We have a lot of interests in common. And the thing is, like, the interest, whether it be knives or guns or cars or sim racing, whatever it is, serves as the bridge to connect people. So I've met several of my viewers who are local and become friends with them because they saw the video about a Corvette and they were interested in the Corvette. The Corvette served as that point that we could connect on. But now I know if I were to not have a Corvette anymore and go about my automotive life, those guys would still be my friends.
Yeah,
you know, and I feel like as men, we kind of need that reason, you know, and it's funny. So, little side story. The guy I sold my first Corvette to, I had a C5Z06. His name is Ryan. He's in Colorado. Awesome dude. And he's talking about starting a YouTube channel. I love this guy. He calls me like once a month or so. So we're like connected over this car that I sold him, and we're good friends now. He told me this story about how he and his friend Art were working on Art's 997 Turbo in the garage, or maybe it was an M5. Art's got a bunch of cars, he's got a cool garage. A guy like wanders into the garage and is like, hey, I'm in town for a wedding. My wife is doing wedding stuff all day today. I just want to like wrench on cars. Could I hang out and wrench with you guys? He wrenches all day. This guy was Cletus McFarland's brother.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it just goes to, and which, you know, he's got a YouTube channel called, I think, Turbos and Teeth, because he's a dentist.
Yeah.
And it's funny thing, like, I don't know if my phone was listening to me or something, telling this story to somebody, but recently a Turbos and Teeth video popped up in my feed about how he outfitted his boat. He went from Yamaha V8s, I think, to Mercury V10s, and he was just doing this whole thing about what that was like, and he's burning 100 gallons of fuel an hour, like racing down the intercoastal. And I grew up in Southwest Florida, so that's like, he's down, I think, near Fort Myers. So I'm having this like flashback to my childhood, and then remembering the story about Ryan. My point in all this is like, we are all connected, but sometimes we need these sort of physical points of connection, because it would be weird if I just wandered up to you on the street and was like, hey, you look cool, could we be friends? We would do that on the playground when we were 6, right? But we kind of become a little too cool for that as we get older, and we're also afraid of the weirdos out there. But
there are
weirdos. But I think like most people are just good people, and all you need to do is kind of signal a way that we could connect. And it's just like, I had my garage door open that night. I was goofing around in the garage. I see a neighbor walking by, and all I needed to see was like, he was interested. I'm like, oh, you're interested? Come up. You know, like, and then I got on the phone like, Maynard, spiders caught a couple of flies. So your brother's still in my basement right now. It's a Pulp Fiction reference for the younger viewers out there.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, man, that's awesome. Well, so, you know, I invited you here to do the podcast, and I think we've had a great conversation and stuff. But I've
enjoyed it. I don't know about the viewers.
Well, I don't really care. It's been an amazing conversation, and I'm sure that our genuine, true viewers who love the channel will love this conversation, because you're a very genuine dude, and definitely go check out Josh's channel. It's called Josh Van Veld Racing. And it's an absolutely awesome channel. A lot of fun to watch it, and it's my favorite channel on YouTube, 100%. When I get on, I always check if you have a new video.
Dude, that's so kind of you to say.
I wanted to do something cool for you, because you know I see you opening these parts boxes with this Benchmade in your videos, and your Benchmade's been a topic of conversation in the videos as well. And I thought, I customize guns and knives, and you use this knife all the time. What a great way for your viewers to see my work, and me to do something cool for a friend. So this is the knife that Josh uses to open all the boxes in his
got a little
garage.
adhesive on it right now.
But I'd like to do something cool for you. Laser engrave it and customize it for you.
That is so kind of you. You know, you texted me and said, hey, you know, come on, and here's what I'll do. And it meant so much to me, because I think like this is like kind of the nicest knife I'd be willing to buy for myself. And part of why I love it, like it's so slim and it's so light, and it's just perfect for, it's in your pocket, you don't even know it's there. I like their little flip mechanism. I like that I'm a lefty, and so you can swap out the pocket clip to be on the other side. Notice mine's rattling a little bit. I don't have a hex tool small enough to tighten those screws. We lost a screw there too. But part of what I love about your channel is how you customize things for the viewer. And so when you suggested this, and you know, asked like what kind of colors, what kind of design, I was like, dude, so here's that was my opportunity to tell you about the business that we're doing. And I said, beyond that though, like it would mean a lot more to me if you think of who you think I am and just do something that you think that I would like, because whatever that is, I will love it.
Okay.
So yeah,
That's cool. Awesome.
thanks, man.
We'll definitely make a cool little YouTube video about customizing this. So definitely stay tuned for that. And Josh, it's always been a pleasure to have conversation with you, brother. I look forward to making this badass for you. I consider you a friend. I really do, and I hope that we have a collaboration that goes on for many years. Like, I'd love for it to come on for a ride along with you at the track.
Guaranteed. I also want to say, like, I think, we're both really blessed to be in a position where we're making it our business to get paid to play with stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, I've always thought guns are cool, knives are cool, video games are cool. I've gotten a 20-year career making video games, and now I'm transitioning into something else, which is, automotive in nature, I think we can say. And
yeah, I totally agree. I had 2 previous careers before I switched to this
Really?
career. And one was in sales, and the other one was in aviation as an aircraft inspector. I worked for Bombardier Aerospace, and I traveled all around the world, and I hated both of those jobs. And I always told myself when I was done with Bombardier that I would do something that was fun, that I enjoyed, that was a passion of mine, and I would try to get paid for it. And I've spent my entire life savings trying to get paid for it.
Yeah.
But it's turning a tide. I can feel it. It's turning a tide. And all this hard work that we've put into the shop, into making videos, into doing badass paint jobs and laser engravings, into improving the shop and adding more products to the showroom, it's starting to feel like it's gonna be worth it,
And here's a thought that I have on that, and I haven't gotten there yet myself, but I believe in it. If it came as easy as you initially wanted it to, would you appreciate it when you get it?
No way.
Right.
No way. Awesome to have you, brother.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you on the next one, guys.
All the way back in December, I set a baseline lap time with this car of a 1:33.96, so that's the time to beat today. Come on, Goldie. Let's get some. Holy sh**. Little ABS. Gotta let these tires warm up before we lean on it. Oh, did I forget to f***ing cinch my thing again? I did. We don't need my helmet flying off. Good Lord.